do.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Alex.
All right, how's it going? How's it going?
So, took a break for a couple weeks. We're back in business, and we wanted to discuss, or actually go back and revisit our previous video about John Carpenter's The Thing, because we actually did get quite a lot of feedback on that video in the comment section, and really just wanted to do this video as like a thank you to everyone who watched and commented, and especially everyone that threw out their own theories and talked about theories that we may not have mentioned when we were doing the original video, and wanted to address some of those theories and see how much weight they hold with us and how much sense they make in context with the movie, and things of that nature. Just basically do this as a big old thank you to everyone that gave us feedback on our first video.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
We're going to start out here with a question that I actually wasn't even a question, it's really like a series of comments and questions. So I'm going to pull it up here. All right, so hopefully everyone will be able to see that. But this first comment was from Demigod Scrub. He said, "This is how you know Childs is infected." He said, "I thought I saw Blair went after him. He got lost in the storm. Earlier, Childs didn't want Mac to come back in and wanted to just let him freeze to death outside. So why chase Blair now?" And he brings up some good points here. He says, 1, Mac told you to stay here and guard the door at all costs. 2, go outside and below freezing temperatures to chase a hunch, question mark. He says, very unlikely. 3, Childs asks, how will we make it? And this is at the end. He said, how will we make it? Mac responds, maybe we shouldn't. So he's saying Childs goes on the defensive immediately, as if he's concerned about his or the thing's survival, when it's obvious that all hope in being rescued is minimal to none. So I want to discuss these first few points real quick. 1, he says, earlier Childs didn't want Mac to come back in. He just wanted to let him freeze outside. And that was a point where Mac they didn't know if he was missing or what, because Knowles had came back inside without him, if I remember this correctly. And, they had the flamethrowers and the guns, and Mac was trying to get back in, and Childs was like, no, don't let him in. That's crazy. And if Childs was a thing, then he probably wouldn't want Mac to come back in, because Mac was the one that was kind of figuring out who was and who wasn't, and he was kind of taking steps to try to, figure out who was the thing.
Right.
I'm thinking that's where he's going with his theory. And if Childs was a thing, it would make sense maybe to leave Mac outside to freeze to death. But then again, does the thing want to take over as many bodies as possible? You hear what I'm saying?
Right. So you're saying it would try to preserve most of the hosts that were around it, just so it would need, just in case it needed more? Okay.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, does it want as many bodies in there as possible, or as few?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure about that one. Fast forward a little bit. Childs is when he's asked to guard the door, no matter what. And this is at the point before they go down in the tunnels. He sees somebody outside, and then he goes to chase them.
Right.
But
that was when
it's shot. Right. And the way it's shot, you don't know why he's doing it. You don't know. You really can't even tell that it's him, honestly.
Right.
You have to assume that it is.
Because his hoodie's over his head.
Right. He's got a big coat on. Yeah. So he said, Mac told him to stay there at all costs. He goes outside in the freezing temperatures on a hunch, and we know from watching Childs throughout the movie that he's not that kind of dude. He's not that kind of brother to do something stupid.
Right. To throw himself out there in the void, yeah.
Right. It's against type. But I don't know. Here's the other thing, though. The thing isn't dumb either. It's not going to purposely go out and endanger itself. So
no.
it's one of those things you can look at. You can look at it either way. And he says, when Charles asks how we make it at the end, and Max says maybe we shouldn't. So
right.
Maybe that's because if Charles is the thing that he's trying to preserve himself and trying to figure out, like, well, does MacReady have a way to keep us alive long enough for me to get out of this place and escape and get to civilization and infect the world, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or is he human and just legitimately asking, like, how are we going to make it? Because that would be a human response as well,
right?
Not just an alien. So, what did you think about that?
See, I'm trying to approach it from the point that all of the creatures were individual characters, individual entities. There's no hive mind. There's no camaraderie. There's no working together. So, I think that if Childs was at the end, and the only thing that I would think that the only thing that made me get a hunch that he might have been one is the fact that his whole demeanor had changed toward MacReady. Him and MacReady have been scraping iron since day one. You noticed that there was a friction from them throughout the movie. And in the end, it kind of like was more of a cool, casual type thing where they were just like, man, why don't we just sit here for a while and see what happens? Because MacReady told him, hey, we're not in any condition to do anything about it either way. So, but if you look at it from the creature standpoint, again, if you separate the creatures into individuals, every creature has its own agenda. I would think that the Blair thing was like more of a Thanos masterminded because he corrupted a host that had all the information on how many could be infected, and he, the information that he took on when he corrupted that host, he had all the knowledge, everything that he could possibly need to attack the planet was there. But then you look at somebody's intentions, like let's say Palmer. Look at the Palmer creature. My thing with the Palmer creature is I think that his intentions were totally different. I mean, I see Palmer's creature partying and bullshit until Sunday. I mean, until not Sunday, but until summertime, until they got rescued and went back to the mainland or whatever. I don't think that his intention was to absorb the world and make as many copies of itself as possible. I think that this thing is extremely intelligent, and I think that from a survival standpoint of everything, it's trying to preserve its life with the hopes of possibly making more of itself, more of its kind. Because again, we're looking at them from individuals. Once somebody gets infected, they become a totally separate creature from the other one, with its own desires or whatnot. Childs, at the end, it was a win-win for him because, okay, if he was the thing, the only thing he's going to do is go back in hibernation, So if they freeze, they freeze. He's just going to go back in hibernation because he knows that his makeup, he's just going to go back into slumber. And then when when the rescue team shows up, he's going to do this wash, rinse, repeat pretty much. So I don't think it was, I don't think he was in any kind of desperation at all because there wasn't really any threat. It wasn't like the Dynamite situation where he had, he was in like immediate danger. Everything is done and over with at the end. I think that MacReady kind of came to the facts of, okay, it's just me and him. He kind of, I'm pretty sure he knew. That's why he was smiling at the end. And I think that Childs being the thing, if that's what the case may be, he was just like, okay, well, let's just sit here for a while and see what happens. And then off camera, this is just me being a nerd, I'm thinking that while MacReady was freezing to death, I think the thing probably leveled with him, gave him that respect. And when he expired, the rescue team came and he did what he had to do with them. I don't even think that there was any friction at the end because I'm pretty sure that thing, Child's thing, kind of knew that they had something going on. I mean, he could probably pick up from the particles of brain matter that was left and see that Childs didn't like this guy, And maybe in being analytical or whatnot, he was like, well, die anyway. So for Child's sake, feeling of satisfaction, let me sit down and watch this guy die with a smile on my face. You see what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah.
looking at it from
Yeah.
the aspect of this is not a single-celled organism like the blob just trying to absorb and take over the world and suck up everybody. It's an entity. It's a creature that's actually intelligent. And again, like you pointed out in the last video, if we knew more about the makeup, we would be able to nail down a little bit more
Right.
solid ideas and views on it, you know.
Right.
But I'm saying that Childs was a thing, and it kind of
Right.
just ended that way. And for me, as an ending like that, I would accept that as cool. Like, okay, MacReady was like, all right, man, I'm just gonna sit here. You can watch me freeze to death and fuck you. Have a drink.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's how. And to me, that ending is satisfying to me. You know?
Yeah. What
It would have been nice
the
if we.
funny thing
Go
is,
ahead.
my bad. The funny thing is, the ending that I always assumed was the ending, which was that both of them were human for years, was satisfying to me. Like, that was a satisfying ending to me. And then when when I started hearing the theory about Childs or MacReady being a thing, I was like, oh shit! Now I had to rethink like everything about this movie. Because
Right.
to me, that was the end. They were both human. They both survived, but they're both going to die.
Freeze it.
That was
Right.
it.
Right. That was a classic tough guy ending.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Question that another thing he brought up here was the J&B bottle. He said, J&B bottle, Mac never took a sip. He just casually handed it to Childs. Was it scotch or gasoline? Either way, Doc Fuchs already told the camp to prepare their own meals and not to drink after anyone. Childs ignores this at the very end. So as a matter of fact, Childs doesn't even question where Mac has been or suspect him to be infected at the end. He said, this is odd because the Childs from earlier questioned and suspected everyone. Like, what changed? Which that kind of makes sense. But I responded to this question. Let me pull this up.
At the end, I think it was just kind of like an end all where they knew, MacReady knew he wasn't going home. So, he's just walking around the camp, scavenging what he could. Oh, shit, I found me a bottle of JB or whatever. And, oh, shit, I got me a blanket, and then he stumbles and sits down to settle down for whatever last few hours he's got.
Right.
Here come Childs. Oh, here we go. That's the way I'm thinking. Because everything was just kind of like, whatever. It was kind of a, I'm done type feel. There wasn't any like heroics. There wasn't any fight. It was just like, all right, man, I'm just going to sit down and just accept my fate,
Right.
I think that was his whole attitude, MacReady's anyway.
Yeah. My immediate response to that comment was, excellent points, except for one. Mac is literally about to take a sip from his bottle just before Childs shows up. So I don't think he tried to trick Childs, because if you watch it, like, he didn't know Childs was there.
Right.
If it was gasoline in the bottle, then he was about to drink gasoline himself and maybe kill himself, or I don't know, but he was going to drink it himself before Childs showed up.
Right. From the character of MacReady, you're looking at it like, this is it. There's it's going to be 100 below zero in the next hour or two. He knows that this is it.
Yeah.
With his tough guy persona, he's freaking got his middle finger up like, man, look, we're going to sit here and drink this bottle, thing or no thing. Yeah. What's up? That's the way I see it. That classic tough guy ending, nails, balls to the wall, all the way until the end, until I freeze my ass to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sip on this JB and call it a day, man. No smoke here.
So, there was a follow up comment from Mr. Aiden 1307. All right, this one here, and he made a great point. He said, one point people miss many times is the conversation with Mac and Fuchs. People assume Mac told the rest, but we never see or hear him mention it to anyone. And then Fuchs dies so quickly after that conversation. He said, really think about it. Only Mac and Fuchs spoke about that. We can, however, assume Blair knew this already because he was a biologist. But even that isn't certain, not even implied. He said, everything else seems to point to Childs, though. So what he's saying is, like, it's hard to make the point that Childs knew about, like, not sharing food and preparing your own food, because Childs wasn't part of that conversation. So it's like he's saying, like, you can't use that as a reason that Childs would have took a sip, because he should have known that they can't share food. But that's not really an excuse because Childs never heard that conversation.
Right. I kind of get that. I do understand it.
Right.
So you're saying that you don't think MacReady or anybody else spread the news, of, hey, look, we gotta, eat out of cans and nobody prepares anybody's meal.
I
You know what I'm
think
saying?
that because none of that is shown or even implied other than that conversation, I don't know if he had a chance to tell everyone or if it's just one of those things that happens off screen that we just have to
Yeah.
assume he did, because Fuchs dies very soon after that. And like the camp,
Right.
the camp's going out, they're out there looking for him and everything. So did MacReady tell everybody, prepare your own food? We don't know.
Yeah. And
That's
you're right
just
about
one of
that. He
those things
did
that we're
die
not.
right after that. He did die right after that conversation.
Right.
Went out and he found the rags, MacReady's, uniform rags, and then that's when we assumed that he got ambushed or whatnot.
Right.
So maybe it didn't. Maybe it wasn't shared.
Yeah.
Maybe MacReady had
So
a
let
lot
me
on his
pull
plate and just didn't even share it with the rest.
Boy is stressed out, man. So this is 51 Tetra 69. He commented, he said, yes, Norris, the guy whose chest burst open, chopping off the doctor's hands with his bear trap teeth, had a bad heart. And when the thing took him over and perfectly imitated him, it also faithfully recreated his heart defect, which eventually caused Norris to suffer a heart attack for real during a high stress moment. The thing would have been happy to hide itself in a presumably dead body, but it couldn't tolerate the electroshocks from the defibrillator and was thus forced to reveal itself. This is a unique way of thinking about it, because when we did our original video, we talked about the thing like, well, if it can perfectly imitate a human, would it bother imitating a heart defect? And did it have the heart attack because he had a heart defect? Did it have the heart attack on purpose? Because that's when MacReady was threatening to blow up everyone with the dynamite. So to kind of distract the situation, because immediately everyone's kind of attention went to Norris.
Right, to render aid, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Also, one thing that I'm thinking is that at that point, Palmer was a thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, he was.
Palmer was a thing. Do the things know who's a thing? You know what I'm saying? Because would it be willing to sacrifice itself to save all of them, to save everyone who's a thing? Because hear me out. If it knew it may have to reveal itself once Norris had the heart attack. This is what I'm thinking. Like, it dies, then or it distracts from what's going on to save all the things. Maybe not realizing it's going to get defibrillated and have to reveal itself.
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel like that theory that it imitated the heart disease and had the heart attack and couldn't handle the shocks. Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, it makes sense in a way, but in a way, like, I'm thinking, well, why would, if it can imitate you, why would it imitate your maladies? You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure that it knew about the issues that you had, your pre-existing conditions.
Right.
And I'm going back to the same thing I said. I think that it knew of it and it caused a situation to try to get itself out of hot water. But I'm glad that the defibrillation thing came up, because it kind of makes me go back to the beginning when I was asking you, if the creatures aren't under stress for survival, will they act differently? The main objective is stealth. I'm trying to chill. I'm trying to blend in. The doctor started getting him on the table. First thing he's doing is whacking on his chest. Then they're bringing over shock paddles, and he's, so here we go. I'm getting attacked. I got to do something. That's why the thing attacked. I think that if they would have just took him to the morgue or just had him laying there trying to figure it out, maybe shooting him up with morphine or whatever, it probably would have played dead as long as it could. But because there was an immediate threat, I'm being attacked, I'm being electrocuted, it went into survival mode.
Probably do the same thing that happened with the the body that they had at the beginning of the movie, the one that took over, was it Benning? The
Bennings,
one that
yeah,
was on
the one that
on
the
the table.
tentacles came
Yeah,
out. Mm-hmm.
right. And, it might have just laid there under, in the body bag or whatever until someone came in and tried to take over their body. Because I'm pretty sure,
Right.
if all, let's just say there weren't no aliens in the camp and someone
Mhm.
dies, they're going to put them in some kind of cold storage or whatever and freeze them. So the thing would have been fine, like you said, playing dead, being frozen, and being thawed out, however long it takes for someone to get there.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's not a terrible idea to just fake the heart attack. Actually, you know what? I was thinking about it. It might actually be the best idea, because if it faked the heart attack and faked the death, it had to know that they would have just frozen the body or something, or refrigerated it long enough till some other people come around. They could have just took over whoever wanted. It's just a way to lay low, and no one knows that it's there. You know what I'm saying?
And it being intelligent, it was nourished for long enough to know who was who and how everybody kind
Right.
of felt about each other. So that even made it more
Right.
kind of reinforced it more, saying like, okay, they're gonna be concerned about me if I fall out,
Right.
And that's why that went on, because it knew that the situation would shift if it faked a heart attack,
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay on the lines of this thing is extremely intelligent, and it's not
Right.
like a blob or something. It's like it's super intelligent to the point where it understands our language and our actions and everything. That's why it can mimic us so well. Our technology and everything. So
Smoke Prophet 2820. You made a short comment. He said Child still has his earring in the final scene. He said pause and you'll see it in his right ear. Confirm there's a loop earring in his right ear. Child's is human. So I want to say something about this. Matter of fact, I want you to go ahead, if you don't mind speaking on that real quick. I'm gonna pull up the scene.
Okay. Yeah. I think that goes back to the prequel, where this creature can't recreate inanimate objects. So earrings, rings, nose rings, body piercings, and stuff like that. It can't replicate that. So I think that's where that's coming from. I think that this whole scenario was before that. I think somebody made a comment of, I'm pretty sure the thing can put an earring or a nose ring on. I don't know if that's the comment that's underneath that. I don't know.
Yeah, it might have been.
It might have been a possibility that it could have. I don't know if that theory will apply to this film too. But again, it's under the same roof of the universe. It's supposed to be a prequel to this film here, so maybe so.
Yeah, that was a comment.
That was a comment.
It figured out how to put the earring back in after the Norwegian.
Yeah. It probably would have had enough time to figure out how to put piercings and stuff in if it had to hide.
So I'm looking at the scene. Give me a second here.
But I do know that was a big deal from the prequel. I think it was 2011 when it came out.
Yeah,
the prequel
because
came
it
out.
was like the fillings in their teeth were missing.
Yeah,
which makes sense. It can't imitate, in
inanimate stuff,
things.
right?
All right, so we got Mac. Looks like he's about to take a sip of that potential gasoline.
Yeah, cold eating him up. Turn around like, shit, the hell.
There's also a comment about Child's wearing a different jacket, so I'm going to go back and look at that too.
No, got lost in the store. Yeah, all right, man. That's a hard bluff right there, bro.
Yeah, sound like you full of shit, man. Shut up.
Shit blowing the fuck up.
All right, yeah, he's got an earring.
Out,
He's got an earring. He got an earring right there. Let's see if I can get back to it. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, there it is. It's a loop. Yeah, hoop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the prequel rules apply, then that's solid right there. That's solid.
Right. Because, I mean, the camp is exploding, and it is probably in a hurry. If it is imitating Child's, right?
Mm.
I don't think that it will be like, oh, let me put an earring in. Like, the camp is blowing up, everything's on fire. I don't think it'll stop to be like, oh, let me put in an earring. You know,
Right.
now it could just
Okay.
be a continuity mistake. It could be a continuity mistake by John Carpenter, whatever.
Mm.
But if we're doing prequel rules apply,
Right.
then that makes him human.
Yeah, it does. It does underneath that. Yep, it does. Yeah.
Right. Myth
So,
busted.
valid.
Who knows?
Valid.
So we have a comment from Maddox11. Charles was definitely human if you use logic. Blair was infected and in human form when it absorbed and killed Gary. Then combined with Gary, it took Knowles when he wandered off without a weapon. The final battle scene happens, and then MacReady and Charles meet outside. Charles was saved via the blood test when he waited outside the tunnel with the flamethrower. So Blair as a thing would have had to catch Charles off guard first and then go back to the tunnel and finish off the rest. The odds are unlikely Charles got overpowered since his character was younger and more fit and had a weapon. Also, he was still holding the flamethrower as proof in the end, which is what a human would do. The odds he got overpowered by a middle-aged man and then picked up the flamethrower again as the thing makes no sense. Also, it would have just fried MacReady once it realized he was the only one remaining and eliminated its final threat. Then froze and waited for the rescue team to start the whole process again. If anything, MacReady could have been a thing, since he seemed to convince Charles not to fry him. Then it could just freeze to death with Charles and wait for the rescue team. It was probably neither of them, and they were both ready to die in all likelihood. But the idea of Charles letting MacReady as an alien live is nothing fun and ironic to speculate, since he had not trusted him all movie. It's absolutely true. What do you think about that?
Again, it depends on the intentions of the creature, the child's creature,
Right.
or the MacReady creature. You can't say that weapons have anything to do with it, because Palmer had a flamethrower. He kept a flamethrower.
Right.
He knew, he had that inside when they were trying to go at MacReady when he's trying to get back in. I think it's all
Right.
about the facade. How can you build up that illusion that I'm human? I'm one of you
Yeah.
guys. And again, I don't think that at this stage, the child's creature wasn't like the Blair creature. It didn't have like a. I mean, you can look at the difference between the two. Okay, like you look at the way Blair was moving. That creature was more of a. You can tell that it moved with intent. The way it
Yeah.
snuffed out Gary, it snuffed out Knowles. Like both of those guys. MacReady looked up and they were both gone.
Right.
In the matter of like no time. So this thing was moving way different, and it was bigger when it came into its full form. It was huge. It took advantage of all the advantages, the alien advantages that it had. I'm looking at it like all of these creatures are individuals. Let's say that MacReady was the thing, right? And Charles drank from the bottle. Now he's infected.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it just depends on the intention. And at that stage of the movie, I don't think that there was much fight. If it was a creature, there was much fight left. I think it was just in survival mode. I'm trying to be, incognito, and just blend in, And again, the intentions. I keep banging on the intentions. What if Charles was a creature, what was his intention at that point? To get back to mainland, to get to around more people, so that the facade can work better. You see what I'm saying? He had double win. If he froze, it's not gonna. He knew that the cold's not gonna kill him.
It's this one of situation where you can look at it either way. I think the thing at this point in the movie knows that, like, if anyone was alive and it was Childs and anyone else was alive, that if it went outside and walked up on anyone else without a flamethrower, then that other person might be like, why don't you have a weapon or something? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I think at this point it knows enough to know that, like, if it was the thing, then, like, okay, I need to pick up this flamethrower to continue the facade that I'm Childs.
I gotta keep playing. I gotta keep playing the act. Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But we got this next one is like an opposing opinion. So let me pull this up. All right, so this is from Darth Loverboy, Turn Loose. He said, obviously, Childs and MacReady are both human. Obviously, they both perish in the cold. We just don't see that part. Why? Because the story ends before that happens. The narrative of this film is tightly self-contained. It wraps itself up nicely and neatly, while seeming to be loose-ended. What is the situation at the end of the movie? The thing is destroyed. The camp is destroyed. MacReady's tape is destroyed, and the two men who know about the thing are about 20 minutes away from freezing to death. When the rescue team comes, they will find no evidence, no trace of this event took place. Just burned up camp, 2 dead bodies. The only one who knows, the only ones who know are us, the audience. And that was just the way I always thought about this movie for years.
Yeah.
Like it's wrapped up with a little bow on it.
Yep. That is satisfying in a way. Yep. That is.
Yeah. And, when you break it down that way, you're like, okay, that's the end of the movie. There's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
It's got a nice neat little bow on it, and that's it. And that's, like I said, that's the way I thought about it, for most of my life.
Right.
I don't know if that's, what Carpenter's actual intent was. He's been a little back and forth about, when he talks about this movie as to what's ambiguous and what isn't.
Right. He doesn't want to give it up at all.
Right.
If Childs wasn't already infected, then you think that Blair would have had an opportunity to get to him with dealing with, MacReady, Gary, and Niles while they were blowing everything up. There's a possibility he might have had enough time to do it. I mean, he was good. I mean, you see how he took the other two guys. He took Gary and Niles out like it was, walk in the park. So why not be able to ambush him, while they're preoccupied with throwing dynamite everywhere? And the noise would have covered the noise, the explosions and stuff.
And there's a scene, let me pull this up real quick, that shows a few rooms from a first person point of view that you can assume is Blair, because it shows like the entrance to where the basement area is, and then up to where Childs was in another room. And let me find it real quick, actually.
Yeah, you got to give it to the Blair creature. He moved way different than the others in the film. He really did.
Yeah. All right, let me share this with you and see what you think about this.
Yeah, that's that cutaway where something was moving around in the base while they were out, except for Childs. Childs was already gone. Yeah.
Right.
He was at that
jacket,
door.
I'll say that blue jacket was missing, and I know someone had brought that up too. If that's the Blair creature, then maybe he did sneak up on Childs. You know what I'm saying? Carpenter's smart enough to if he does a first person view, that's it's like Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? That's the killer.
And as you ask it, was the Blair creature? Absolutely. You're gonna take out two guys?
He was a creature.
In freaking 12 seconds. He was really capable. Yeah. One guy.
Fucking alien.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The Blair creature was capable of doing that.
David Garrido, 5506. So he had a comment about the assimilation timeline. So he said the assimilation timeline goes like this. The dog thing affects a person in the room that has a shadow on the wall, which to me will always be Norris because of the hairstyle, which I can get that. Split face absorbs Benning. Norris thing affects Palmer. Norris Palmer affects Blair. Blair confronts Fuchs, who lights himself on fire to avoid assimilation because the sound effect that appears with the shadow pops up again when Blair kills Gary, which is true. I went back and looked. There's a sound effect remember when Fuchs is right after he has a conversation with MacReady about the food, and he's sitting at his desk and the power goes out and that shadow goes in front of the door.
Yeah,
there's like a stinger, a sound effect that happens right then, and it happens again It happens again when Blair kills Gary at the end with the fingers in the face. It's the same sound
Right,
effect.
right.
And if you think about it, like Carpenter's smart enough to like know that if I use the sound effect for one scene and then I use it again in another scene, the only thing that's related in those scenes is that it's probably Blair. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's not really used anywhere else in the movie. It's only with that scene when he jets in front of Fuchs' door, and then when he kills Gary, when he sneaks up on Gary and kills him, it's the same sound effect. So
Right.
what David is saying here is that that's definitely Blair who went in front of the door, because it's the same sound effect they used later.
Okay.
And that was definitely Blair that caused Fuchs to kill himself. So then it says Null sees Blair thing drag Gary off and is killed since we hear banging noises after Null wanders off in that direction. Which is another thing, like, remember we talked about keeping up with all these names and whatnot, so I was like, oh, hold on, let me look at this again. And this kind of lines up. Charles runs away to avoid confronting Blair after hearing him down in the generator room, because he's the person who was looking down at the staircase to the generator room, because right after that, Null sees him run out of the building and the power goes out the second after Charles runs away. So he's saying Blair is the one that hit the generator, turned off the power, tried to, I guess, go back to wherever he was going, and Charles sees him and chases him.
Right.
So we can either presume that, and trying to keep up with this is like, I don't know, algebra or something, man. But I'm sure I'm probably going to say this wrong, but either Blair was able to sneak up on Childs and change him inside the camp, or Childs really did see Blair after he, hit the generator or whatever and ran outside and chased him, and Blair got him off screen. Again, they were both off screen, but like he chased him and Blair was able to, to handle him. Either way, Blair could have got him.
Yeah. I think, either way, I think Blair did something to him, because that's how the Blair creature would move. It was intelligent. Yeah. I got, as far as Norris and Palmer, I think Palmer was the first one to get changed. Reason being is because when they were, let me go back here, because I made a note of it too. When you look at the facade of trying to stay hidden, I think Palmer was doing it the best. Yeah, after they had that conversation, and this was when Childs was like, looking at Blair, like, you believe this voodoo crap? You look at the comments that Palmer was making, about the Incas or the Aztecs or whatever, and the chariots of fire, man, and that type of stuff. Could have been telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? Just to add to the facade, I think his intentions were to blend in and to continue to consume some of our greenery, as he could smoke as much as he could, and just wait it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for him to blend in that much more, I mean, you notice nobody really messed with him. Pothead, nobody really messed with him. So I'm thinking that if you're looking at the easiest target, I think that he was the one that got infected first by the dog. I think maybe Norris was later on. Maybe Norris, had gotten some type of infection, from the residue of it. But I think that Palmer was actually changed. He was a creature.
Yeah,
and he did it really well.
From that Carl Jackson here, 6036 had. He said basically exactly what you just said. That, he got infected. He got infected first. He got infected first, and he was chill. He was going to lay back, and he said it actually answered the question that that you asked. Would the creature just kind of sit and chill until it's time to go back? Right. And he's saying, that's exactly what he would do. He's a laid back guy. Nobody's going to mess with him. Nobody's going to really pay him any attention.
Nope. Smooth sailing until spring. Yeah.
Right. Take over the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The intention was not to put itself in harm's way and to get to the opportunity to make, recreate more of its own kind, or to get as much knowledge on the tactical knowledge as possible, so it could increase its survivability. So yeah, I mean, a pothead would have been a great disguise, man. I wanted to ask you something real quick too, just to kind of throw this out there. The issue with the blood packs and who got to the blood packs and how did they get to the blood packs. When Bennings got attacked, Windows came in with the keys, and that room is supposed to be specifically for personal gear, because it's kind of like one of those secured areas. That's why they locked the bodies up in there, and I'm sure that was probably Gary's keys. So when Windows came in and saw Bennings all wrapped up, he dropped the keys. You hear him drop the keys, and he hauled ass out there. So I'm thinking that's how the keys got missing. Somebody picked those keys up. It had to be either Norris or Palmer, right?
During all the commotion,
Palmer, probably. Yep. That's how the keys got in. You don't really get it's like you can hear him drop. You don't see, but you hear him go, shit, holy shit, and he can haul his ass. I think that's how the keys got missing.
All right, it's a comment from, looks like Maya Manine. Oh, I'm probably not saying that right. But anyway, big shout out to him because he did sub. He gave us he gave us some feedback too. But he said the thing is not the alien. Exactly. He said the thing is not the alien that built the flying saucer. The thing is a parasite that infected the organism that built the saucer. The thing parasite has been traversing the universe for eons, replicating every species it comes in contact with. It crashed the saucer in hopes of finding new hosts to infect on a virgin planet. The thing is an amalgamation of every organism it's ever infected. And he said, remember how parasites work. It technically doesn't have intelligence. It's a mimic, and it absorbs the knowledge of whatever it copies and adds that to its makeup. So it has a slightly skewed take on what is normal. There's always something off about the copy. Even if it acts differently, it's because it's always the copy's interpretation of what is normal to whatever species is mimicking.
It's mimicking, okay, right.
It's possible the saucer crashed because while it infected the builder of the saucer, it only had a cursory knowledge of how to actually maintain the craft. It made a course for the nearest planet where it could replicate. Its only goal is to survive. Lastly, Carpenter follows the age-old masterstroke of not overexposing your monster. Remember what fears your audience has in their mind's eye is way more terrifying than anything you can show them. Let their imagination form some of its legend. It's a very nice breakdown of this masterpiece, gentlemen, and we appreciate that comment.
This is fire. This is fire right here, man. Wow.
Yeah. That one. He kind of nailed it. He kind of nailed it with that one.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Somebody needs to see this. And Netflix.
Right.
Hulu. Somebody.
My Nine got a story for y'all.
That's really nice, man. Wow. That takes it even. That's deep, man. That is deep. That's nice though.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it's obviously it's a movie, we can just kind of talk about, forever. Endless possibilities. But just that theory of the alien being, because it's a copy, it's a perfect copy of the person, but is it a perfect mental copy? Which the movie doesn't really break that down enough to know. Like, if let's say Palmer was the thing and all of a sudden he was Palmer in every way except he just stopped smoking weed. Like, if that was somehow, shown to us, like he doesn't smoke anymore, and like MacReady notices, he's got all these full joints that ain't been smoked.
Yeah, you're not even smoking. Yeah, that makes him stand out. Yeah,
right. Does the thing have that capacity, or does it completely imitate and just does everything that person would have done? And we have no way to know that.
No, that's something that wasn't explained, and that's a little piece that we need to kind of like it would improve all of the theories big time. But that would be too much, I think.
But then exactly, that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. Because then it would take away the talking points of this movie. Like if all the questions are answered, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's you take a movie. You know, I don't know if we mentioned this last time. You take a movie that has like an ambiguous ending, like Inception or something, and with all the things you could talk about in that movie, the ending is something that no one knows the answer. I think Nolan might have answered this eventually, but like it's your interpretation of what it is.
Right.
You know, it's not solid and defined. So those rabbit holes lead to conversations, and those conversations make a movie, you know, legendary.
Yeah. Yeah. It continues to fan the fires. You know, it continues to fan the fires. I mean, it continues the conversation. You know, it never ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest likes about this film is the fact that, you know, the conversations can go on forever. There's so many theories and different things that you can come up with. And again, like we just went over some in the comments, you know, that are, you know, outstanding, you know, and this is what's needed to keep these things alive, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, some movies are classics. Movies are classics for different reasons. You know, if this movie didn't have the great story and writing that it does, it would still be a memorable horror movie with great effects. You know, if it was a psychological thriller that maybe didn't have as much practical effects and gore and whatnot, it would still be like a great psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And that's where this movie is special. It does a great job at multiple things.
Both worlds.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. You know, it would be memorable either way. You know, if it wasn't one or the other, it would be memorable. There's plenty of 80s horror movies that we remember fondly that aren't nearly as good, but they're very memorable. You know, they're a great watch, but they aren't this good. So yeah, this is one of those ones, man. You know, it's just got a little bit of everything. It combines things together in such a way that it's always interesting. American Werewolf in London combined horror and comedy perfectly, to where you know it wasn't too much of either one. So
just enough.
That's why that movie is right. That movie's an all-time classic that just so happen to have great special effects.
Yeah,
you know, some of the same people involved. So yeah, it's just freaking love movies, man.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have any further theories about this thing? You know, can we put this one to bed for a while?
You know, unless we have to come back and do another after party. That's
right.
That's what I'm going to call these things. After party, which is great. I just want to thank the subscribers and everybody that commented. I mean, some of the comments and just the overwhelming views for this particular video is just, you know, from the heart. Thank you so very much for
absolutely
making us feel like we're catering to an audience that understands our passion and our love for these types of things, and we're going to continue to try to give you the best that we can.
That's right.
And thank you so much.
That's right. Absolutely, man. You said it. You leave me with nothing to say. But anyway, y'all, yeah. Thanks again. You know, like the video, subscribe, share it if you like. We will absolutely be back with more. Hopefully, more of what you like. Here's the thing. We're just two dudes talking about stuff we like. If y'all happen to like it too, hey, we appreciate it. Hopefully, we're talking about something you actually want to hear. You know, we can't knock them all out of the park, but hey, we're gonna have fun no matter what. So, come and join us. Come and join us.
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah. So, Alex, that's all I got, man. That's the thing again, and hopefully, you know, you get some more comments and you like the video. So, once again, y'all, we'll be back real soon. Thanks for watching.
See you on the next one.
Peace.